I hope we're recording. Okay, first of all, we usually put oils before we do any sharing. So this is brain power.
Okay, I'll use clarity.
Yeah. So, and then I like to put it on the back of my brain, and I always use. Oh, that was common sense. Brain power, actually. And then I always use common sense. Okay, because I don't have much of that.
I will use some brain power.
Okay. And this is a spray bottle of belief, surrender, and acceptance, and that's for you. Okay, now it's all wet, and then I have to clean this. All right, okay. So you've got oils, we've got oils, we're all ready.
Oh, good.
So let me introduce myself. My name is Joanne Kan. I'm the Royal Crown Diamond from Hong Kong. I helped set up the Hong Kong office, and now we've got a big team here in Hong Kong and Chinese community all over the world. And this is Grace, my childhood friend. We met when we were 7, and then we've been friends ever since. Of course, during like middle school, we separated our ways, but then afterwards, we all came back to Hong Kong, and then she's one of the first few people I signed up with Young Living. And I joke that she is a professional emotional oiler. So I got her, and then she spent a lot of time reading about traditional Chinese medicine. She uses a lot of those theories along with our products. And she spent a lot of time working on herself, emotionally and physically. And whenever I have some questions about emotional oils, she's the person that I always go to. And so that's why I've invited her today and to help us get this going. So today we're going to be talking about connecting traditional Chinese health wisdom with Young Living. The reason why I chose this topic is because with us growing up in Hong Kong, a very traditional Chinese environment, we've always lived with the traditional Chinese health wisdom, like food, diet, soup, how to make our food. We always incorporate a lot of herbs into our food. It has become such a big part of our life that we don't realize that other people don't have it. Especially when we were talking about how we incorporate food, like the thing that you all will be very familiar with would be our ningxia berries, right? This is wolfberry. This is something that we use on our very daily lives, especially in the southern part of China, which Hong Kong is. It's for, we use it for our eyes, we put it in our soup. What do you use it for?
Soup, veggies, or steamed chicken. We use it quite a lot.
Okay, so this is something that you're very familiar with. I've actually got a lot of stuff ready. You know, these are all the things that I just grabbed from my kitchen pantry. All of these dried herbs, dried whatever seeds and stuff. All of these actually help with nourishing our body and nourishing our different organs. And we're going to be sharing with you today how you can, without growing up in a Chinese environment like Hong Kong, how you can also help incorporate that wisdom into your life. And that's what we want to achieve today. And then by doing that, and through using our products, our oils, we hope that you can bring this to the next level. Okay, so let me see. We will go. This is the first time we do this Zoom video recording thing, so I don't know if it's going to work. So bear with me, okay? And that's page 2. Okay, all right. So this is when we're comparing, this is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to compare different medicine theories with modern Western medication. Would you like to share?
With Ayurvedic medicine, it started 5,000 years ago. And so has Chinese medicine, which is what we're most familiar with. And we found out that Greek medicine, Tibetan medicine, they all have homeopathic and anthroposophic medicine. They all have relation with emotions, and which makes it different than modern Western medicine, which more focus on organs, germs, bacteria, and viruses only. we find it very natural that physical symptoms is actually related to emotional situations.
Okay, so yes, what we're trying to let you all know is that in a lot of different modalities, many of us focus also on the emotion and the spiritual aspect, how our emotion and our spiritual aspect affect our physical health. That is something that in modern Western medication we find is missing. And even with us, when we go to Chinese doctor, we grew up going to Chinese doctors when we're not feeling well. My mom would actually first give me something like this.
This is for the cold, right?
Yeah, this is for flu. Yeah. We were actually talking about it yesterday when we were preparing for this presentation. We both together talk about this. We call this little box tea, and this is what it looks like. Little box tea, and inside it has
a lot of herbs,
Chinese herbs, a mixture of Chinese herbs. Okay, little box tea. Okay, and the back that lists out, like, I don't know, say about 28 different kinds of Chinese herbs. This is sort of like a blend of oil that we have, like an immune power, I would imagine.
Right.
So this is something that we would use, and everybody, all the families would know how to use this. And we were talking about it yesterday, and we said, oh, this is a thing that we always go to when we are not feeling well. And so something like this, and when we go to the Chinese doctor, they would have to look at our faces, and then they could tell what is wrong with our body, which symptom or which organ is not balanced, and we will focus on balancing the body instead of treating it as a sickness or treating it as a bacteria or a virus.
Right.
They always look at trying to balance your body. So that's the next slide. When we're talking about the qi, is I'm sure a lot of you have heard about qi, but maybe not a lot of you understand what it actually is that when we go to the Chinese doctor, when they check our pulse, they actually is trying to check which part is out of balance. So there is this yin and yang balance, which is sort of like, some people like to use female and male. I prefer to use hot and cold.
Yeah,
hot and cold balance. You need to stay warm. Warm doesn't tip the balance that much. If you eat something that's very cold, you tip off the balance. And then when you tip off the balance, you create blockage.
Right.
Is that how it works?
Right. It's a little abstract because it's something that we cannot see, but it's actually life force that flows through our bodies. So the stronger our qi is, the stronger our body is. The weaker the qi, the weaker or the more sluggish we feel.
Okay. And then also, I still remember that when I go to, before I had the oils, I used to go to this Chinese doctor twice a week to boost my immune system, to balance myself. And he would check my pulse. And he would know just by checking my pulse that I've had chicken that day. And he would say, I told you not to have chicken. You even had fried chicken, like I ate Kentucky Fried Chicken or something, right? And you even had fried chicken. This really tipped off your balance because chicken is supposed to be very heaty. Fried chicken is even more heaty.
Right.
So he was quite upset that I had fried chicken. Or, for example, if that day when my husband goes, when he was in the office and get upset by the staff, he would know by checking the pulse and go, you were very upset today. It must have been maybe somebody very close to, maybe your secretary did something wrong. Because he said by checking the pulse, if you had a bad temper, if you have thrown a temper, he could feel it by the pulse through the liver pulse or something that has become heaty. So that's how they know. We used to joke that they're more like fortune tellers, that they just by looking at your face, checking your pulse, they know what you went through today, they know what you ate, they know whether you're happy, you're sad, because you can actually tell from checking the pulse and checking the qi. And we also have a Chinese saying that when there is pain, there's blockage.
Right.
When there's no pain, there's no blockage. So a lot of these imbalances, when it's create blockage or the food that we eat is not good for our body, it creates blockage. Or in fact, the emotions will also create blockage. Right? So, and with holistic medicine, we look at a lot of enzymes breaking up the things that we cannot break up. And I would share with you that one time I have a very close relative who always have different kind of discomfort on the body, right? And when I look more into how our products can help her, I decided that I should give her enzymes to help her break down the blockage, right? Because I know that all that discomfort is caused by some sort of qi blockage. And when I gave her Essential Sign 4, she took it for about a week. And this is a lady who's always very strong. She never cries. You know, she can take whatever that comes to her. And even though she's always being sick a lot and her immune system was very low and having a lot of discomfort in her body, she still presented herself as a very strong woman. And when I gave her the Essential Sign 4, after 1 week of taking it, I just thought that maybe you'll help her with her digestive system or, you know, break down some of the blockage. I asked her how she is, and she told me that every time she took the enzyme, she feels very sad. And then when she was telling me, her eyes started tearing up. So I realized that at that moment, it was some sort of emotional blockage, some sort of maybe a trauma that has happened to her when she was a child that is actually creating that kind of blockage and then creating that kind of discomfort in her body. So I immediately took away the enzyme and I gave her a bottle of joy instead because I wanted her to feel happy again. So, and from then on, she actually used a lot of our emotional oils. Like she loves joy, she loves 3 wise men, she used a lot of peppermint, and she used a lot of peace and calming. She loves peace and calming and those kind of emotional calming oils. And she has had a lot of change in her body and her emotions. So this is just something that I'd like everybody here who's listening in to be aware of, that we don't only have our food affect us, our what we use in our daily life affect us, and what our emotions also affect us. Okay, and that is something that we're focusing on today. And so we're trying to make sure that our qi is not blocked in order to be healthy, right? And have a lot of energy. And when we have our energy blocked up, we will feel sluggish and tired and pain. Okay. So this chart is actually made by Grace. She translated. We sit together and then we looked at this. We have this clock that is from the ancient scripture.
It's called the Yellow Emperor Canon.
Inner canon. Yeah, the Yellow Emperor inner canon, whatever that means.
It's an ancient script on Chinese medicine. This is what Chinese medicine is based on. It has 2,000 years in history. When we first looked at it, we based on a clock shape. And we translated it into this chart form, thinking that this is more easy to refer to. So say, for example, on the first row where it says the gallbladder, at 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., that's when the gallbladder is working at its optimal. So we should be sleeping so that the yang qi is being regenerated. And if we don't feel sleepy, that means our gallbladder is not functioning properly.
I see. So I would like to, when people come to ask me about the products and what to use and how to support their body, their different organs system, I would like to always look at this clock, because this has become a part of at least my life. When I was going to the Chinese doctor, he would educate me about the different times of the day when your organs, when our organs are working as optimal. So by looking at this chart, we would know. So I would give an example, is that, for example, she talked about the gallbladder, which starts working hardest at 11 o'clock at night.
It's getting most of its energy. So it's supposed to be working at its optimal.
Working as optimal, okay. So for the people we have a lot of people who go to bed at really late hours in Hong Kong. A lot of them sleep at like past midnight or even 1 o'clock. And a lot of people come to me and tell me that, well, usually around 9, 10 o'clock, they're very sleepy. But once they pass that time, they can only fall asleep around 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. And that is when I will know that, because at 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., the liver is working at its optimal. And our liver is actually one of our biggest filter, and it helps regenerate our blood. It cleans our blood, and it helps regenerate our whole body. And that's when it should be resting. Your body should be sleeping in order for it to be able to work at its optimal. If you, for a very long time, do not sleep at that time, your liver will become very burdened and what is that word that I was using? Overloaded with toxin, because it's sort of like the filter of an aircon. I don't know if you guys have aircon. Every week you have to take out the filter and clean it. But for the liver, it can only clean during that 1 to 3 a.m. It cannot clean it sort of does, but it doesn't work as well.
Right.
But so if you don't sleep between 1 to 3, and accumulatively, your liver will become very burdened. And eventually you won't be able to sleep at that time, because at that time it's working so hard, it keeps you awake. And usually that's when the people who has toxic liver, I call it toxic, okay, in a holistic medical term, that they cannot sleep until 2 to 3 a.m. And then sometimes people would tell me that they would wake up in the middle of the night coughing. And when I ask, it would always be 3:15, 3:30 in the morning. That is when we know that the lung needs a lot of support, and that is when I would tell them to put something that would help support the lung system, the respiratory system. For example, myrrh. I love using myrrh on the lungs. And when I ask them to put myrrh on their lungs during the daytime, not necessarily in the middle of the night, they would find that the lungs have been nourished, and then they no longer wake up at night. So this is the kind of thing that we're trying to share with you, so that you'll be more aware of when your body have that kind of response. And then by comparing it to this chart, you will know that maybe that is the organ that you need to support or work on. I'll give another example, is that from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. is when your large intestine is working really hard. So your large intestine actually help you create your poop, right? And for the longest time, and I still do, I get woken up by my bowel at around 7:15. I have to get up and poop. And it's really annoying, because sometimes I try to sleep later and I can't, because I got to get up and go to the bathroom. So these are the things that I'd like you to pay attention to, and feel free to take a photo of this slide. Okay.
We have another one.
Yeah.
That goes.
So this is from 11 p.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so this is sort of like the morning chart. And then this is the second one, which you will be able to see from lunchtime, right? Until just now, it was from 1 p.m. Until at night. Let me see. So maybe you would like to share the lunchtime. Give us another example about 1 p.m. and
okay, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. it's the ideal lunchtime, because the small intestines, it's at its optimum, and that's when the nutrients can be absorbed. So having lunch at that time really does make sense. And for example, I used to get really tired at 5 in the afternoon. I didn't know what was going on, so I would just take a nap and note that after I wake up from a 15-minute nap, I would feel much better. That's because my kidneys weren't strong enough, and I just need to give it more rest. So these are the examples that you might want to be aware of. Like, be aware of your own body so that you can read the signs.
Another thing about kidney is you will see that here it's afternoon 5 to 7 p.m. is the time to nourish the kidneys. Drink a lot of water. My Chinese doctor used to tell me to eat chestnut during this time, because chestnut is good for the kidneys, but he would tell me to eat just 3 pieces because it's difficult to digest and my stomach is a little bit weak. And then you will also see that from 5 to 7 is the kidney also correspond to fear and exhaustion. And this is the time when you feel like you have cold. The kidneys are also connected to your feet. And when we were talking about it yesterday, we realized that, you know how in English you say you have cold feet? Is that when you're getting scared, you're a little bit fearful, that's when you get cold feet, right? But in Chinese medicine, if your feet are cold, it means that your kidneys are weak, which also correspond to fear. So that is when you literally have cold feet and getting fearful. So if you have like lower back, here are where the kidneys are, you can actually rub your kidneys during your shower to nourish them. Or you can put some oils that are good. We will show you a little bit later in the next slide to nourish your kidneys. And then if you have cold feet, it means that your kidneys are rather weak. And then you can also soak your feet in very hot water. This will also be very good for your kidneys. If you like, you can put juniper or geranium into the water to soak your feet, but make sure that the water doesn't get cold. The water has to be very, very hot. And then when you take your feet out, the water should still be warm. And then you have to dry your feet immediately and then put on some socks. This is a really good way to nourish your kidneys. Also, if you tend to have discomfort on your lower back, it also means that your kidneys are weak. That's when you have to really look at your nourishing your kidneys. Okay? And Grace has kindly come up with this chart where you will be able to see how the organs are interrelated with the two arrows going towards each other. So I will give you an example that the liver and the lungs are actually very interconnected. So they actually work back to back from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. and then 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Because I used to go to this homeopathic doctor. She would tell me that my daughter used to have a lot of eczema, and she would tell me that it's the vaccine, it's probably some of the toxin that is in the vaccine. This corresponds to the lungs, which is BCG vaccine that everybody in Hong Kong took, and because that's a lung vaccine, and she said that the lung is connected to the liver, and that's when your liver get overloaded by toxin from being overloaded from the lung vaccine. And then the lung and the skin is also part of our respiratory system. So when your lung is not well, you will tend to have rashes on your skin because it reflects, because that's how the body tries to detox, to get rid of the toxins, right? So it's connected, the lungs and the skin is connected. Another thing is the liver is also connected with the lungs and the skin because they're all in the elimination system to get rid of toxins. So that's why sometimes when you have skin issues, you might look into your lungs, you might look into your liver, okay? And then another thing is, let me see. Oh, we also have, my Chinese doctor also used to tell me that when my kids were sick, little children, they always get fevers. My Chinese doctor would tell me to massage their back. That was before I had the oils. He would ask me to massage their back, the upper back, where the lungs are, and push outwards, just gently. He said that by opening up the lungs, it will also open up the intestine. And that's why they always tell us that when children have fever, they usually cannot have bowel movement. They usually don't poop. It's only when the fever breaks, then the child will poop. Okay? Because the child doesn't poop, it's because the large intestine is all closed up. In Chinese terms, we call it closed up. When the lungs is closed up. That's why he asked me to massage the back, try to open up the lungs, and then open up the intestine, clockwise massage the tummy, and open up the intestine. When the intestines are opened up, the child can poop, the lung will open up, and then the fever will come down. This has nothing to do with oils, right? It has nothing to do with Young Living essential oils. We just talk about Chinese medical term and how my Chinese doctor used to teach me how to manage my children's health. So I share with you all these experience to let you know how to demonstrate how our lungs and our large intestine are interconnected, and our liver and our lungs are interconnected. And of course, the rest of it, we always call stomach and spleen. In Chinese medicine, we never just talk about stomach. It's always stomach, spleen, stomach, spleen, together. Right? We go hand in hand together. And then another thing is you will see on the top, the gallbladder and the liver. We Chinese actually have a saying that says gallbladder and liver have each other's back, which we use this term to describe good buddies who always have each other back.
Brotherhood.
Yeah, brotherhood, having each other's back. Good brotherhood friends, hey bro, that kind of brotherhood. And so these are the traditional Chinese wisdom that we grew up with, that we thought everybody has. And now that I am with Young Living, I realize not everybody has this wisdom. So I'd like to share that with you. So by knowing that, I hope that we will be able to, you'll be able to use the products better and be healthier. And then we have our next slide.
Okay, this is how we would incorporate oils with the chart. For me, I've always looked at symptoms in relation to emotions. In fact, I was telling Joanne the other day, I didn't get the starter kit. The first purchase was all emotional oils, and that's how I tackled my own issues. I used to wake up at 3 in the morning. I knew it wasn't about coughing or anything. So it's not about eucalyptus or RC. But it's the sadness that's trapped in my lungs. So I would use cypress to open myself up, also massaging myself here and in the front. And then I started incorporating joy in it. And slowly, I started to sleep through the night.
So maybe it's not lungs, maybe it's actually the heart chakra. Maybe it's the heart because it's very connected. But also the heart and lungs waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning is all interconnected.
Right.
So we cannot just look at the lungs and the liver. We have to look at the heart as in the heart chakra, not exactly the heart, the organ, the heart.
Right, but the heart chakra.
Yes, but
the small area.
Yeah, energetically, the heart area. And also, how when you feel sad, you feel like there's this big rock, a big stone on your chest, right? You feel like you cannot really stand up. You feel, oh, this is so heavy. And that's when it's sort of like grief and sadness. And that will be, as you say, cypress and joy. I like to use evergreen if they still make it. And then another thing would be liver anger, right? I think a lot of people know that a lot of emotions are actually caused by anger. And that is in the liver area, which is on the right side below your chest. We always say we have to put release on or Juva cleanse, Juva flex to help it release, right? And it's actually the kind of anger that is always when we're angry, it's trapped in the liver.
Right.
And we also say that in Chinese medicine, the eye is connected with the liver. And so when people don't have enough sleep, then they get bloodshot red eyes. So we know that, you don't have enough sleep. You better do something with your liver. So we tell them, maybe you can put some peppermint to release that heat from the liver. Because when we don't have enough sleep, the liver gets very heaty, and then your eye will show up with red bloodshot eyes. And I actually have a friend who came to work one day, bloodshot eyes, and we joked, we actually have a Chinese saying that "an fo bao," it's eye
explosive
eye.
Explosive eyes.
We call it explosive eye. It's when you have got bloodshot eye and very angry. When you're very angry, your eyes pop out and you get very red bloodshot eyes. So we joke that, you've got explosive red eye. And then I joke that, it's your liver. It's very heaty. You put peppermint on your liver. So I put peppermint. He put peppermint on his liver. About an hour later, the bloodshot eyes was gone. This is not sickness. So we're not talking about sickness. It's just like getting red eyes and then putting liver on, and it releases the heat from the liver. Okay, so these are the things that we can focus on. And stomach. A lot of people have issues with their stomach. We notice that it's a lot of the times it's control and worry and self-worth.
Right.
That's also the solar plexus and the stomach. It's all interrelated. So these are the things that I'd like you all to be aware of. And then this is a chart that will show you how the opposite direction also is interconnected.
Okay, so say for example the liver, and there's a line that's pointing to the small intestines. That's exactly 12 hours apart from each other. So say for example 1 to 3 a.m., that's when the liver is working at its optimal. It's getting its energy at that time. So, and which means the small intestines, it's the weakest at that time. And okay, say for example, if I don't want to get up from 1 to 3 a.m. just to oil up, what can I do? I can do small intestines at 1 to 3 p.m. instead.
So I can put Juva flex at 1 to 3 p.m. on the liver,
or I
can do digest on the stomach.
That's both. Right. Or you will do both.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes there are so many symptoms that's happening all at once. It's hard to tell whether if it's the liver or if it's the small intestines. So I would do both.
Okay, because there's nothing to lose, right? You can't go wrong.
That's right.
Okay,
that's right.
That makes sense.
And then there's all these dotted lines as well. And these 3 organs are also interrelated. So they affect each other as well. Sometimes if you have multiple symptoms, and you
Mhm.
wonder why.
Mhm.
And this is the reason why. So you might want to work on those 3 organs. And also you see on the outer circle where there are arrows,
Mhm.
as the first chart was saying, as Joanne was saying, those organs are also related. So sometimes you might want to look at 3 organs as a set and work on all those 3 at the same time.
Okay.
And for example, say for example, at 5 to 7
I certainly
p.m.
hope that we're recording.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Go on.
Okay, we'll see. We'll find out. Say, for example, 5 to 7 p.m., where the kidney is working, and I feel very tired. Then I can think back what I done that day. Maybe it's the lunch that didn't get digested very well. Maybe I ate something funny. So that kind of stopped the energy flowing to the bladder at 3 to 5 p.m. And not having enough energy from the bladder, of course I'm going to get tired at 5 to 7 p.m. when the kidney is working. So sometimes you have to look at 3 sets of 3 to figure out what's going on.
Okay. Well, I think to the people who are listening on into this looks very complicated. But I think when you're all just first starting, just look at the first chart, this one. Just focus on this chart and then be aware of this chart first. You might want to like print this out and put it on your fridge so that you can reflect to it, refer to it.
I finally know why I put these in these colors.
Why?
Because it's chakras.
Because she came out with this chart, right? And then she had all these colors, and I'm like, okay. So
because I did it half a year ago, and I forgot why I put them in such colors.
So I was like, okay, so tell me what the colors are. Because I can't remember. I can't remember. I said, no, there must be a reason. Okay, good. So it's a chakra. Good. All right. So just start with go slow, like how we use the oils. Go slow. Just do one step at a time. Print out that chart, put it on your fridge, refer to it, and then incorporate it into your life. I think that's what we want you to do, right? Incorporate it into your life. Be more aware of how your body is responding to during the daytime. And in fact, during the winter, I know that a lot of you live in the States, and during the winter you have much less sunshine time. I think that also affects it affects how the sun comes out. It affects how our body respond. And in the summer, when you have longer daytime period, it will also affect differently, right? Okay. So what's this?
And in order to read your body better, to be aware of ourselves, we realize that there's our subconscious that's there, and we need to work on our subconscious in order to have ourselves be able to read the body. So we would start with surrender. So what does surrender mean to you?
Surrender. In the beginning, when I first saw the oil, I thought it meant giving up, I thought it meant giving up, giving in. And I didn't like that feeling.
Right.
And the more I read about it, the more, and then obviously I have to put it on and then I have to feel it. I feel like in order for you to be able to change something, you need to surrender to it, because a lot of people, especially when we have issues for ourselves, we tend to reject it.
Right.
We tend to say, no, we don't have,
We're fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. This is not affecting me.
Right.
But that is rejecting. When you reject something, you cannot change it.
Exactly.
So by surrendering to it, you're actually accepting, well, acceptance is the next step, but
you admit that there's this issue there.
Yeah, you admit you're facing that issue. You're acknowledging that you have this issue and you're going to work with it. And then the next step would be to accept it, and then accept it with an open heart too, right? If you just say, oh yeah, I'm going to accept it, and then roll your eye, that's not going to work. So we both love these 2 oils. We both find it very, very useful. And the reason why we put Valor in there is because I noticed, yes, in order to change, you need a load of courage, because you're actually making a lot of change in your life and stepping out of your comfort zone. And it takes a lot of courage. And I think that's why Gary put Valor into every set. Well, in the old days when we were starting, I started with Start Living with Everyday Oils. That's what it's called. It came with an everyday oil. She didn't. She just got the Start Living kit and then bought, like, I don't know what you bought.
Gratitude, Valor, release.
And Yeah, so but Valor is in the everyday oil kit, right? It's in the feelings kit. It's in the
It's
raindrop kit,
it's
and
the first go-to oil in
yeah,
all kits, I think.
yeah, and I think because Gary is a guy who really wants all of us to change, to all of us to transform and grow and become a better version of ourselves. But in order to become a better version of ourselves, we need to step up and change our life, and it actually takes a lot of courage
to do that.
Yeah, to do that, to change the status quo. So that's these are the 3 oils that we think everybody needs. You know, anybody who's willing, who wants to change their lives. So we're showing you this because, as I was sharing with all of you, that when we go to the Chinese doctor, just by looking at our face, they would know what our body is going through, right? Because we have all these reflex points on our face. So this is something that you might want to keep and refer to when you have like little pimples coming up or little dark circles around your eyes, puffy eyes. It's actually many times when we see puffy eyes and dark circles, we know that
a
it's
little bit of dullness here and there,
yeah,
uneven color.
Yeah, and here it's always the liver and the kidneys. That's why we always say that, oh, dark circles, you don't have enough sleep. Because when you don't have enough sleep, your liver isn't strong, isn't healthy. That's why you got dark circles. So once you sleep better, your liver is being nourished, your dark circles will be gone.
And sometimes there's all these liver spots.
Oh yeah, liver spots. Okay, let's look at this. This is the chart that will show if you've got pimples, acne, spots, and what they actually refer to. Grace was talking about the liver spots. We call them like little patches that is always showing up here. I don't know if you guys have them. We Chinese, a lot of women have them, especially after they give birth. And the liver is where all the hormones are being made, right? And so that liver health is really important. And in fact, you have a friend who was using Juva Cleanse to just support the liver.
Right.
And ended up
miraculously, like all these spots were gone.
And he was applying the oil on the liver, not on the face. Okay, it was Juva Cleanse. So that was very surprising. So it means that our face actually reflects. So just by looking at the face, we actually know how healthy that person is. And I was just telling her that every month when I get my period, I get like 2 pimples here. You see, I still have a mark here, and it's because it's the reflex point of ovarian and hormones and menstruation and stuff like that. So these are the things that you can work on. Okay, and when you don't have enough sleep, then you might get pimples here or here on the forehead. All right. And then, other than the reflex points on the face, the timing of the day, I also notice that when I get, or my friends get, like little rash on both sides of the body, symmetrical, is usually it's reflex to the meridian, because our meridian runs through our body. It's like little lines. People have now, modern science have now finally invented some machine that can measure these meridian lines. Before people couldn't. And Chinese medicine, we know that we've got meridian lines. Right. That's how they do the acupuncture. It's like little roads. But Western medication, they couldn't measure it. That's why they didn't think that it existed. But recently, they have invented some machine that can measure the lines. And so these would also be things that we would like you to be aware of. For example, you will see that on the legs, on the shin area, is the stomach. That light blue line that you see is the stomach. So people who get rashes on these areas, usually it means that their bowel are stuck. And then you can do a bit of massage and do a bit of roll and release technique on that line. And then maybe put some oils that correspond to that organ to support that organ and support that system. We've found amazing results.
I've always done aroma life on my heart, and then I would do this.
Yeah, this also works. We call it pop, 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 like banging like that. This actually moves the chi along, believe it or not.
So you can look at where the meridians are and then apply the oils accordingly, and then
okay. And then sometimes you would also do, for example, the respiratory system, the lung, which is the red line that you see, orange it should be, the orange line. It's here on the hand, okay? Okay, this part, this is the lung meridian, and would put some oils that will support the respiratory system on this area, especially for children, they're most effective. Grown up, sometimes we're a bit blocked. So even if you put the oils on, it's not as effective. But if you put it on kids, you can really see the difference very, very soon. Okay. Oh, this is your expertise.
Oh.
Yes.
And also we need to read our bodies, because every part of our body shows how our emotions being trapped. For example, the front of our body, it's our social mask. This is where we face people. We put up sort of a face, telling people that we're okay, we're being nice, all that emotions. It's in the front. The stomach, it's also a place where we store a lot of anger, rage, ego. It's all in the stomach areas. And whereas on the back,
so we put release on the stomach. Will I start scolding people?
Probably you, yeah. Release and digest would still work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for the back, it's where our unconscious thoughts and emotions are. Say, for example, between the shoulder blades, I'm very tight in that area.
Oh, me too.
So maybe there are things that I'm not ready to handle, and I'm just storing them there. I would do release.
So like a backpack.
Yeah.
A backpack of
definitely.
emotions.
Yeah.
Carrying around
it
every
slows
day.
me down. So I would do release, let it go,
Okay.
and live with passion. Live within passion.
Okay.
And then the right side of the body, it's the male side, as we were saying. Then the left side, the feminine side. So left side, it's the yang side. This is where the actual logical stuff is. Whereas on the left side, it's all the emotions.
Okay, so this is when like release or left side, intuition, sadness.
Intuition, right.
So I would imagine something like joy. And then this side may be acceptance and surrender if it's anger.
Right. Or sometimes if you feel that, okay, we were saying about the meridians, but sometimes the feelings is not symmetrical, and I wonder why. And that's maybe the emotional side of myself, it's not balanced, but then the physical side is still okay. So you can read how the body is responding and then apply the oils accordingly.
Okay, I see. Okay, and then the limbs and all these also.
The limbs are our ways to contact to the outside world. With the torso, it's about ourselves. So whether if you have social problems or whether if you are working on your own, so you want to know where the oils would want to go. And for people who have small top and large bottom, maybe they are more grounded. For different reasons, they are more grounded. I have a friend who it's the youngest child in the family, and she for the longest time she has to ground herself very well in order to find her own place at home. So she has like 3 sizes bigger pants than her tops.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So until she used surrender, acceptance, and then slowly she has
did she apply on her thighs or she just put it on her chest?
Apply on the thighs.
Oh wow.
And then have affirmations, tell yourself that it's okay, it's all right, I'm well grounded, I'm protected. And then slowly she started losing the size.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think in a year and a half she lost 2 sizes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I also read this book called Losing Your Pounds of Pain. Yeah, it talks about how you're actually carrying a lot of pain around. So now I don't know where this little insect came from.
Oh, that's okay. Just let him be.
Okay. Okay, I understand. Yeah.
Right.
And then, you also have noticed that different muscles actually correspond to different emotions, right?
Right. Or, muscles and ligaments, I realize that they trap a lot of emotions being trapped in these areas. I realized that through doing yoga. Each yoga pose, does correspond to an organ. So when I stretch, I feel that, something is getting released. So then I started reading about it and realized that's how it works. And this link would be a good one to refer to.
I see. Okay.
Right.
And that's when a lot of the emotional oils would work, like surrender, acceptance, maybe even awaken,
Right.
believe, gratitude. I see. Okay. Okay. So we've talked about the face, we've talked about the body, the meridian, the body clock, and the clock. This is actually a chart that is very interesting about the teeth and organ relationship. So you might want to cap this down and just refer to different tooth. When you have like discomfort on the tooth and that area, it might actually correspond to your different organs, because there are a lot of nerves that come from connected our teeth to our brains to our body. So once, I'm sure if you are active on Facebook, you'll probably see a lot of sharing recently about how our teeth actually affect a lot of our health. So this is a chart that we'd also like to share with you. Grace has a bit of experience. I understand it. I don't have personal experience with it. So you were telling me that
there was one time that's where the molar is, the gum area is a little affected. And I was putting on clove, I tried thieves, and that didn't work. And I was wondering why, because, those two oils would work. And then I referred to this chart and then realized, it's got to do with my tummy. So I put digest there instead, and it worked immediately.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know. That's fine. Okay, and then other than the organs, it's also connected to a lot of emotions. So, for example, the small intestine would be teeth number 1, which is the back molar. So just refer to this chart, and I just would like to share all this information with you, and so that you know, and then you can refer to it. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't. It will be a good thing to refer to. Okay, so what do we do with all of these? If we know that we've got emotions trapped, it's not just what I eat, it's not like we can go to a Western doctor and check ourselves out, and not everybody has the resources that we have in Hong Kong, right? So we would all like you to notice that we believe that a lot of our discomfort, physical discomfort, are actually caused by emotions. It's actually all how we perceive the world and how everything comes from within ourselves. Like, I would give you an example. For example, you're driving. Well, not you, but somebody would be driving, and then some car quickly cut in front of them. And this person who's driving would open the window, get out and scream and scold and swear at the driver who is cutting in front of him. And then the wife next to him would say, "Oh, just leave it. Just leave it. Don't be so angry." And the person who's driving, who was just shouting and swearing, would say, "Oh, but it's him. He is the person who is affecting me. If he didn't cut in front of me, I wouldn't get so upset." But in fact, it's you who is allowing yourself to get upset. You are the person who is getting upset. It has nothing to do with the other person. And you are the person who is suffering. So if you change your perspective and just let them be, you will not be affected. And that's the idea that we'd like you to start thinking. A lot of the times when we think it's them, is that person, it's actually just us. So once we start changing our own perspective, we can change our lives. And that is when we think surrender and acceptance would really, really help. And gratitude, as you said, to remove anger. Because I notice, and she agrees, that a lot of times when we're angry, we're not angry at that other person. We're actually angry at ourselves. At myself for allowing myself to be angry, for allowing myself to be affected, disappointed at myself for my own behavior. And that is something that I would really, really want like you guys to think about. And with her experience and mine also, she introduced me to yoga. And I've noticed that if we get a really good yoga teacher, yogi, they can really help us with our emotions. And because we've been talking about a lot of awareness, and we've been brainstorming ideas on how to help everybody be aware, because this is not something that is easy to be done, especially if you're used to not being aware. So we talked about, okay, she likes to start with food because everybody needs to eat. But I also noticed, I don't know about you, but in Hong Kong, a lot of people are so rushed, so busy that they don't even realize what they're eating. And when we ask them to chew and notice what you're eating and don't look at your phone while eating or don't read while you're eating, they're not able to taste the food. They're not even able to be aware of that they're chewing and they're tasting the food.
Right.
And so we thought of different ways to help people be more aware. So we thought of, okay, maybe they can observe their breathing. Maybe they can observe their feeling. And still, I can immediately think of people who cannot even be aware of how they're breathing or how they're feeling in their body. And then we noticed that starting them with yoga or meditation will be a very good way.
Right.
Because Grace found this amazing book that we're going to share with you in a while, that it explains how yoga actually can, by stretching out your different muscles, you will be able to work within yourself, with your organs, because different muscles actually correspond to a different organ. And by meditation, you're observing your breathing, you're learning how to relax. By relaxing, you'll be able to be more aware. So for those who cannot find a yoga class or meditation class, I think you can just go to YouTube. There are loads of really good yoga, really good meditation, guided meditation. I think for any beginners should go to find something that's guided meditation. You find something with a time frame that you can, maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
And really give yourself that time. I mean, that's like 20 minutes a day, and you focus on yourself. I think you're worth it.
Yes. And maybe not even a day. I think maybe just when you're starting off, just doing it once a week, when the kids are off at school, you can really give yourself that half an hour. Just play that guided meditation, just sit there and relax. You don't have to be seated. You can lie down. Just take that time for yourself.
Right.
And some yoga, maybe some YouTube yoga, find one that talks to you, something that feels right to you. And then there's this book. This is Chinese, but the original is English. It's called Insight Yoga. And we will give you the name in a bit. The author is Sarah Powers. Would you like to share your experience about this book?
Yeah, I was in a Buddhist bookshop, and I was supposed to pick up some other books. Then I saw this yoga book that was right in front of me. So I had to get it. I got it and then read about it and thought, oh, this is not what I thought yoga was about. I thought yoga was about, exercising. And this book talks about how each stretch, it's focused on each organ. And still, that's all I knew about yoga. And then I started doing yoga, and then I realized that when I'm stretching a certain muscle, I'm doing certain pose, then the inner side of me, it's really stretching and releasing that emotion. And sometimes, there were times when tears would come out, not only because of the physical pain, something inside getting released.
So there are like a lot of different posts. So you can get this book online, the English version. We found it. And then it actually talks about the stomach and the spleen. Here is in Chinese. But these would be the exercise that can strengthen your organs.
Right.
Oh, I was just twisted by my yoga teacher like this the other day. And I was joking how I feel like I was being wringed like a wet towel.
And also through yoga, when I first started my class, I would be comparing myself with, students next to me. And slowly, I realized it's really not about others, but yourself. And that's when you get trained into the mode of being, having some stillness in yourself. And that's where self-awareness starts.
Okay. And so these are the books. The Insight Yoga, we're actually ahead of ourselves. So this is the slide that we wanted to talk about when she was sharing how, when she was in the class, she would be observing how other people are doing and slowly become more self-conscious about ourselves. And then by awareness, we mean by observing the outside world. Slowly, you should start observing ourselves and observing our inner self.
Right.
Because our lives is actually just about us. It's not about being selfish. It's just about us being self-aware and being able to get in touch of our inner self.
Right. I always use this as an example. If you see a hurricane outside of your house, and there's this hurricane going on, do you go inside the hurricane and swirl together, or do you observe? Just think about that.
Yes. That might be a little bit difficult for a lot of people, but I understand what you mean. Okay, so I love chakra cleansing meditation. If for those people who are not used to meditation, I found some really good ones online. There's one that is called Helen Demetrio, the chakra cleansing meditation, only 20 minutes. And for a lot of people, for the people who are not aware of what chakra actually is, it's not anything that is voodoo or weird. It's just the reason why I have a building here. It's just like we are like a building, and we have like 7 floors, and in each floor there's a generator, there's a electricity generator, and every year you're going to maintain that generator, right? You're going to clean it, you're going to maintain it, do well maintenance. And these chakra are just like our energy centers, our energy generator. For the longest time that we've grown, like I'm in my 40s, I haven't really cleaned my chakras. And it's actually need cleaning. It's just like wearing clothes. I mean, you wear this for 2 days, you're going to put it in the wash, right? You use your body for so many years. You should be nourishing your energy centers and cleaning them up. That's just how chakra cleansing is. And each chakra has a corresponding color. For the chakra cleansing meditation, usually a lot of them just ask you, guide you to visualize some colors. And, you know, our mind is powerful. And just by thinking of these colors, your chakra will be cleansed, will be guided to be cleansed. And I find that with the use of our oils, especially our feelings kit, the chakra cleansing will be very effective. My personal experience is if you just use the feelings oil for 30 days, just like how Gary has told us, you get some result. You just use chakra cleansing without the oils, just for one time. You don't really feel much difference. But I've led a lot of workshops where we put the feelings kit on and then do the chakra cleansing. People can actually feel the result nearly immediately. Most people can feel it immediately. If they can't really feel anything or didn't have any emotional release of crying, at least they feel lighter. And I think that's already very useful. Is there something you wanted to share?
Yeah, and for those of you who is interested in this book explains what chakras and a lot of other things are. Like, this is a more scientific way of looking at it for those who's not familiar with chakras.
And this is the name of the book is The Subtle Body. Okay.
So it explains like meridians, auras, chakras.
Yeah, this is a really good book. An encyclopedia of your energetic anatomy. I think we all agree that we are not just our physical selves. So this is actually a really, really good book that explains, you know, how the endocrine system with your meridian and pressure points and your energy centers and your chakras work and correspond to your health. So this is the book that we recommend. And so this is the feelings kit that I love using with our chakra cleansing meditation. And by doing meditation, we actually also helping ourselves getting more aware. I think that is very, very important in actually becoming healthy. And yeah, so these are the books. I think a lot of you are are very familiar with the book Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. So, and then there's this book called Touch for Health. This book corresponds to each muscle and meridian. It's a very, very good book. You can use Touch for Health along with the Releasing Emotional Patterns. And what Grace said that she does is when she has an emotion, an alarm point. So this is the inside of the book when you have an alarm point. So you just look up the alarm point and then you look up the oil and then just
it's just like a dictionary.
Yeah, this is like a dictionary, like a very good reference. And she said you don't have to read this front to back. This is a reference book. So all you need to do is just find the alarm point and then put the oil on. It's that simple. Okay. And here are some websites that we've found. If you're interested in looking more into Greek medicine, Ayurvedic, and